Behind his office had a wooden bookshelf on one side, crystals, small brass ornaments, and our desks sat in the middle with chairs in the front and a poster of a waterfall behind us. She is a middle-aged woman with red brown hair cut short, picture window behind old fables characters in Tropical Express. Her office looked like an apartment. We had to walk up through the dark brick and tiled entrance hall to the door and ring the bell. They let us in, and we checked in at the desk and sat down on one side of the room facing the rainforest and sunset posters on the opposite wall. I burned my tongue countless times, probably 4 or 5, on chamomile tea, but I was persistent and eventually learned to love the flavour. I went there regularly from the age of 4 till about 16. I clashed a lot with my parents during the end of this period, although that wasn't necessarily a reason I stopped going less. I would sit down at Diane's desk and she would ask me about myself, my life, my feelings about different things I'd have difficulty with, and then she would take down some tinted bottles from the shelf or go get them from the waiting room where she had more stacked up in the cupboard. She got me to tap each bottle in turn, and I would hold a bottle at a time in my left hand while I held my right arm straight, and she would push down while I pushed back upwards. My arm either buckled or held firm based on this. We would decide what homeopathic solutions I would see that problem. This felt very correct to me, as if my body knew the solution to the problem and I just had to pay attention to the latent cancer. I'm still hesitant to shake the idea that this was somehow meaningful to me, at least it was meaningful. In early 2016, I watched a video and started crying involuntarily. It was a story about a Pakistani interpreter from the US who applied for a visa for himself and his family to immigrate to the US after his parents served in the military. He was able to successfully immigrate. The visa was filled with nonsense, took so long that his family was mostly killed before religion and so on. I was lying on my couch in my house in Dixon, Canada. My husband Dad was holding me like a child crying at the infancy words. All explained specifically why the culture of the weather was the projects and was exactly how that kind of story about the same feeling made me feel like it would come back to something about that law. Was in the voice across all the paper and technology so much feelings. Somebody also said we should look at our lifetime. I had to call back reference points like this. Sending comments, same information, although this is not specific culture about this evangelist. Actually, the man had been aware of the fostering this to the young apprentices too, taking the government subsidies from training them and firing them off their apprenticeships had finished. For some reason, this made me phenomenally angry and sad. It felt like a personal tragedy. I started Googling labor laws and regulations, trying somehow to resolve this, figuring out how it could be solved for the man. It was pointless. I didn't know the name of the man or the name of his boss, and it was really none of my business. exact word I want is on the tip of my tongue, but I just can't find it. There's always something, some expression that will bridge the gap, but to me it's not good enough. It's good to have faith in non-verbal communication. Assumptions and experiences form a bridge between you and the other person and hopefully get your point across, although you never really know. I have memories of being scolded by my first grade teacher for climbing on the monkey bars before our class walked back into the classroom. I'm not sure if I had the sense that I was a good student at that point. Probably not. My friend at the time, my neighbour from Georgetown, and I impersonated the Chinese accent of a new boy in our class, Johnny, to his face. I still don't really know what possessed me to do that, except that kids are cruel and thoughtless. Maybe I thought that it was funny. My experience at primary school was mixed. At 7, my parents asked me whether I wanted to change schools. They put the names of some schools in a paper bag and picked one out. It was kind of like homeopathic muscle testing. I used to do a lot of that too. I instinctively gravitated towards the little bit of paper with the name of the school that was about a kilometre walk up past Taylor Square from my house. I think I probably liked the name. We studied Mandarin, watching Journey to the West remade as an educational program. I remembered how to count and introduce myself. There was an incident where I ripped the head off a Barbie doll of a girl in my class. I think I was motivated by an amorphous desire to reject symbols of femininity, but again, I couldn't say exactly how that feeling came about. The same feeling made me feel that it was good and correct to listen to new metal bands like Linkin Park because they didn't write love songs. I think part of me knew that the lyrics were still about romance and feelings, but in my callousness I pushed the idea out of my mind. I tend to come back to reference points like this, my earliest scattered memories. They seem to be foundational, although this might just be a symptom of ordering my thoughts to put into words. My mum made me go and buy another Barbie to give to the girl. It was such a strange, unnecessary act. The original crime, I mean. I think I probably understood at the time as much as when I was at Maya looking at replacements or giving the new doll to her. But I didn't act on this thought.